CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. The session is now being recorded, and it is used to style the web page. We say that HTML is used to provide structure to the web page. Now CSS is the one that is coming to provide design of those structures, like the colors they need, the arrangements they deserve, and everything else. Now,
okay.
The current version that is being used is called CSS3. The CSS3. So when it comes to CSS, there are 3 different ways that you can use CSS. But before that, let's look at how you can reference CSS with HTML. We said yesterday that HTML codes are written in what are known as tags. For example, we saw the p tag. The p tag, we said this is basically a paragraph. You will learn more about tags from the site that I just showed you here. Now, when we now talk about CSS styling a tag, then it means this tag is the one that is being redesigned, so that based on how it was, we now alter. We actually trying to alter the appearance of the tag. For us to alter the appearance of the tag, we always apply what is called an attribute, or rather HTML attribute. So the HTML attribute is like a descriptor, or basically from the word attribute is a property. It is a property of the tag. Each and every tag can have a property which does this property can do anything, and this property ranges from just describing the tag to performing a specific function. For example, one of such property is what we call the ID prop attribute. So notice the space between the p tag and the ID. When you write the p in the opening tag, you leave a space, then supply ID, then you give the ID name. For example, the identity of this p, we can call it that this is a p tag. Then we close it. Then this ID is actually what is known as an attribute. So most attributes are written in the opening tag immediately after the tag name, and there is a space that is left between. Again, another attribute is an attribute called the class tag, the class attribute. Class is equal to class of piece. Then we can close it. So these are what are called attributes. Again, here you see lots of attributes. When we come to HTML attributes, the elements are the tags themselves. Then the content is between the elements. For example, you can see the h1 tag, the element content is that one, then which is always written inside the element. Then we can nest elements, that is elements inside the elements. Then we have this one is a good one. It's mostly is the one we use alongside YouTube videos. Then we have the HTML attributes. All HTML elements can have attributes, that is, they provide additional information about the tag. So attributes can only come in the name value pairs, like name is equals to value, like what you've seen there. It is I talked about when I talked about class or ID is equals to p tag. So for example, the a tags here define an hyperlink. href that you can see is actually what we call an attribute. The a tag is a link tag. So the source attribute, the CSS attribute provides the path, for example, of an embedded image. We are going to use that. Then we also have the width attribute, contains the width and height attributes. We have the alter attributes, specifies the alternated text. For example, if the image refuses to load, what should be written on top of that page? Or if this website tries to find the image and it did not find it. Then we have so many other things of the attributes. The style attribute, this one is for adding styles to an element such as color, font size. The language attribute, declare the language of a web page. There are so many. The title attribute, define some extra information of something like about an element. So there are so many. The ID, and now for us we want to mostly use the ID and the title. So we will come here and learn more about attributes. Okay. Now, those are what are called, they provide additional information, or they tend to be properties of a tag. Each and every tag can have, based on how you've chosen it to be, it can have an attribute. Each and every element or a tag can have an attribute. Now CSS takes CSS takes an advantage of these two fundamental tag attributes, the ID and the class, such that when we want to style a web page, CSS will always target the ID attribute or the class attribute. And this is how CSS does it. When we have an attribute, CSS always tends to have a method used to target it. For example, an attribute can be ID. CSS targets it by hashtag. Then the attribute can be a class. CSS targets it by a full stop before the attribute itself. For example, ID here was a p tag. CSS will say p tag. Then put in a curly brace. Then a class, CSS will target it to the full stop. Then put in, then it was a class. So we can say class of, notice there is no quotes now, class of piece. Then put in a curly brace, then write your CSS codes there. So this is all about CSS. But sometimes you might not want to use the attribute, or developers might need to just structure the p tags themselves. Then they can use we don't have an attribute, we just have the tag name. In this case, we have the p tag, so it will just be written p, and you put your curly brace without any preceding symbol. This one is more dangerous because it's going to style all the p's in your website. So you can imagine if you have over 100 p's, then it will be given the same style. But these ones will only style the p's with attributes, the first two. So that's how CSS behaves. We are going to look at that, do not worry, just in the next few minutes. Then there are a few ways in which you can write CSS codes. Actually 3 of them in which you can write CSS codes. We have the internal CSS, the inline CSS, and I think that one should be the first one. Inline CSS, internal CSS, and the external CSS. In the inline CSS codes are written inside the HTML, inside a HTML line, using styles attribute. For example, let's say we want to style the p tag that we had before. Instead of that, we can just say p, then the styles attribute is being written, then it takes the form of this. Let's say we want to give the p a background color of green. We just say p style is equal to background color green. These CSS codes are in W3 schools, you will find them. So let's do that in our actual website. Let's write inline CSS. So for example, the h1 tag, we want to give it an attribute of, this is what is called inline CSS. You come to the HTML file, and inside the line, HTML line, you put a styles attribute. Style is equals to background color green. So when I save this and run, open with the live server, you see that the h1 tag now has a background color of green. That is basically what we were talking about. And when we want to change the color to some text, let's say yellow, then it's always color. So you put after comma, space, color, no comma again, just space. After semicolon, I mean. Then yellow. Then that has been changed.
Sorry, please go back to the Visual Studio.
Yes.
So yeah, I've gotten to where I've written green. So when you want to add another color yellow, you write a color yellow. So how do you know what becomes background? So the color yellow now becomes for the text.
Color yellow is for text, but the background color is the background of that text. So these are predefined. When we were introducing computer science, I said that in coding we use predefined words. So these are predefined words in CSS. And we told you that if you want them, the comprehensive list is here of those predefined words.
Okay.
Yes, here's these ones. Okay, so you will just come here and there's so many things that you can work with. You have the CSS syntax, you have the selectors. So whatever I've just used is actually the selector. So the ID selector, we also have the class selector, but you can also use the tag name itself, the universal selector. This universal selector selects all the elements, HTML elements on a page. So you will come here and actually see all of them and the explanation. In come up comprehensive notes, then how to use them, internal, inline, the one I've been using, inline CSS, external CSS, and internal. So the notes are just here, and you will also see colors, and you will also see backgrounds, the RGB and something. You will also see background. You will also see images, everything, background image, background attachment, background position. So everything that you need to know zinakwanga hapa. For me, when I code, I always find myself opening this, so because it helps me a lot. So that's how you know the code to use. So if I just want to, I just come here and search to do something for my website. You just search. That's how we become developers.
Okay.
Now this is what we call the inline CSS. Now let's talk about the internal CSS. With the internal CSS, you write codes here, CSS codes inside HTML file again, like the first one, inside the HTML file, but in a separate style tag. We use the style tag in the body, and element targeted by selectors, using selectors. So we said there are 3 selectors we can use. The tag name. So when we come back here, let's say we want to target the h2 tag. but we really don't want to write the styles inside h2. Then what this one is telling us, that at the top, immediately after the body tag, we should write a style tag. So we put in a cell like that. Then when you target h2, then it's going to be given some background color.
Okay.
The background color, green. So when you come back to view your website, this is how it is done. So this is what we call the internal CSS. Again, the internal CSS, we can target it using another, let's say ID is equals to h3 tag. ID is targeted using hashtag, then background color, is aqua. That one. Then we can also use a class. Background color is red.
You said when you're introducing the h, now the h3 tag, the hash, represents the class.
That you are, it is called a selector. It is actually showing
Oh.
that you are targeting a class.
Oh, okay. You're targeting a class. Okay, got it. So, but when you're starting for h2, you don't need to introduce the class, target the class.
You can. It is just that I was trying to show you that you can also target the element by itself, by its name, without actually using the tags. But this is dangerous because your website is not only going to have one h2. So it's, if you use h2 alone without the tag or without the attribute, then everything in the website is going to be styled. Everything h2.
Okay.
But I was just showing you how you can use like the fourth one is now the class, and this one we always target using a full stop.
Okay.
So that way.
Okay.
It's a full stop that precedes that. Now this is what is called internal CSS. This one here. CSS codes are written internally, but not within the line. But when we write it in the line, it is called inline CSS. Now the one that we use most often is the one that we created yesterday, called the external CSS. In the external CSS, we create an entirely new CSS file in the directory of styles, or we can even be in the root directory where there is index.html. Then we link it like we did yesterday. After creating it, you must ensure that you link it. So we just type link, then the others will come, like relationship is equal style sheet. href is now the path to that style sheet. And I told you that because we always start from the root path, we always put full stop /
excuse me, you broke in Kidogo. Just start from where you are linking. The internet broke Kidogo.
So when you want to link a style sheet, you just type the word link, you use the link tag, then hit enter.
Okay.
Then by default, some words like relationship being a style sheet will be brought up. Then the href is actually the path to that style sheet. We always start from the root path. The root path is the project which we are using, in this case web dev. This is what we call the root path. So we always put a full stop to show the computer that we are on the root path, then / to show it that we want to move to the next path or file. So in our case, we want styles, then CSS. Then instead of writing all these inside as internal, because this one will cluster our HTML file, we always delete the tags and copy paste all these ones here to the styles sheet, because now we have noticed that when we've deleted everything, our styles are now gone except the h1 tag, which had the inline CSS. This one had inline CSS. So
Okay.
for this, it is not going because the CSS is inline.
Okay.
So we come back to HTML, then we post them here. Then the style links are back. Yes, that's
Okay. Okay.
So
Let me rework that.
The most commonly used one. Hii ndio utapata watu wengi wanaitumia because it shows how organized you are, and it actually helps you arrange your CSS course alone and your HTML course alone without interference. But that one does not rule away the fact that you can still use h1 tags and also use internal CSS, inline CSS and internal CSS. Now, when you use both the internal and inline, there is order of priority that CSS is going to take. CSS is not just going to style because people are styling. It's going to take some order of priority. We have inline CSS. Then we move to internal CSS. Then we move to external CSS. So this one is given a higher priority. And this one is given an average priority. Then this one is given low priority. By priority, I mean when we use all of them at a go, which one is going to be considered first? This one is going to be considered first, the inline CSS. For example, if I add an inline CSS to my, let's say, my h2 tag, you want to see what's going to happen? Let me add not an inline CSS but an internal CSS to my h2 tag. Remember, h2 tag, take note, it is having a green yellow background color. So I want to change that background color to black and the text to white. Or no, I don't want to interfere with the text so that I can bring out the sense of what I'm trying to do. Let me use gray, ash gray actually. Amalite, ash gray is okay. So internal CSS dictates that we write a style tag as a tag, then we target h2. Let's change the background color to ash gray. So the colors can also be changed by clicking on this box. Then this menu will come up. It is called an what is it? HGB, green, blue, and red. RGB, red, green, blue, combination of colors will come up. So it is assuming that all colors will always be made when you have three colors, red, green, and blue. And these three colors can be mixed to produce different colors. That's what websites assume. So you can control them by if you want dash gray, you can control them by putting it to a lighter note, then bringing this down to make it light, some like that, make it somehow darker. Yes, so we can find ash gray that way. So once we do that, instead of now writing the term gray, ash gray, it's giving you a combination of red, green, blue with acceleration. Green, it means that the combination of red is 203 pixels, of green is 196, and of blue is 96, 196. This is basically, I don't know how to explain it, but it is basically units of each and every color. So red iko mingi, that is. Then this is how concentrated it is. Is it darker or lighter? So it is somehow, we need it a half, so we can put 0.5. We don't need it darker, we don't need it lighter. So we put 0.5. Then we run that. Let's go and see how the website looks like. And this is it. So this is somehow more lighter. So we can increase the concentration to 0.85. So it was appearing somehow darker. But remember, we had another external CSS here, which was the background of green blue. Lakini internal imeichukua, because what I said here, internal has an average priority as compared to external. So when you use both internal and external in the same styling, you end up with internal being taken advantage of. The same thing happens when you add inline. So inline is the one that is now being taken care of kabisa. So when you put here style, background color, let's say black, and run, so what you realize that the internal is the one that is being now taken. Then we can give it a certain color of text. And there you go. So that's how CSS behaves. So you realize that internal has been given the high priority, even though we still have inline, even though we still have internal with us and we have external with us. So this one is mostly important when you've developed your website or your program. Then the client comes to you and says that he needs some changes to be made. He doesn't like the background color of a certain area. You just come and add it in internal. So it will override, because this is not the only code you're going to write in external. It can be even a million rows. So you can imagine how that editing that can be. So if you don't know how to do it, you just come here and call whatever you used, then edit it accordingly inline. It's going to override the one that is external. Are we together up to that point?
Yes. I think I'm having a bit of a challenge. When I shifted to the style SSS to the styles folder, I am not getting any update on the live website. So my H3 and H4 are not changed. Are not any. Yeah, they're not. The aqua blue and red are not showing.
Let me see.
Okay. So I shifted from the styles to the style folder. So this is how it looks like. Yeah, so I saved, and I think it's still live. Let me just confirm. I think yeah. And then when I came, I just only got these two updates. So for H1, H3, and H4 are not.
Let me see the codes again.
Okay.
HTML, that is.
Oh, okay.
You did not. You remember, you must put an attribute. For example, when you come to the styles, take me to the style. You say that the ID, the H3 tag has an attribute of H3 tag, but in the code, Aiko. Where is it?
No, Aiko.
So in the problem.
So
So
I
you
need
put it
to
immediately after writing H3, then space, then put it there. And remember, when it is hashtag, you must use an ID. No, you use the word ID.
oh, okay, ID.
Yes.
So
Then
I write hash, yeah?
no. Hash is used to reference it in the style sheet. So
Oh,
here
okay,
you write
okay,
the
okay.
name of the tag itself. In this
So
case, it was
which is
H3
H3?
hyphen tag.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that is reference. Okay. Just
So save
that.
that.
So this, yeah.
When you save it, it should
Yeah, it is
automatically
updated. Yeah.
reflect.
Okay. And so for H4,
You go to the style and
also
see how you referenced it. You know, here
yes,
you
dot
reference it
H.
as a class. We're using a dot. So you use a
Okay.
class. When it's a full stop, it was a class.
Uh,
And the
H.
way you call it in the style.
Yeah, which was H4 tag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, got it. Done.
So.
Let me just pull the
So
description.
in this simple and this one, you are the one who's going to finish it up.
Okay.
I just want to start it. We want to create a portfolio website, a small portfolio website,
Okay.
which is going to serve as as our portfolio. When someone comes to our website, he should be able to see it, and he should be able to interact with it. So I'm just going to design the header because this is not in the interest of our time. In of our lesson or classes, I'm just going to design the header. Then the others, it will be upon you to use this website and the YouTube link I'll send to finish it up. That is a project that will run until the end of the course, and it will be part of your evaluation when you finish your course.
Okay.
So let's now design the web of our website. I want to bring something up. Remember, this was a web dev, and it was just for demonstration purposes. So it is not that you will only be using one project. So sometimes you will find yourself using so many projects at a go. So in this case, we can create a new project under that, the same folder. Open project. Then
You're not sharing. Sorry, you're not sharing screen.
oh, sorry.
Okay.
So we want to create a new project altogether alongside the web dev project. So we will just go to file, open folder. Then here I can create a new project called portfolio website. Then is the one that I will now select. So this is a new project altogether, and therefore we can start creating files. The first file is index.html. Then in application or software development, there is always something called design. The design is actually the blueprint of how you would want your website to look like. We are always encouraged to use design. We are always encouraged to use design when we want to design and develop our software. So for example, we can have something like this, that our website is going to have a header. This is a page, the entire page, and my portfolio website is going to have a header. Then it's going to have some sections, like this one will be an ID. The ID will have my image here and some description, the profile summary, that is. So the profile summary will be here. Then we'll have my work experience here, arranged as in raw form. Work experience 1, work experience 2, we are going to design that. Then we have our education here, then also arranged. Then we shall have our skills, then under skills we can decide to put skills at hard skills and soft skills. Then the footer is actually where people can find you, like the nini. So this is what we are going to do. For me, I'm going to design the header. Then in your case, you will be tasked with ensuring that this website is exactly as your resume may look like.
Okay.
That is your project until the end of this year, this course. It will help you to understand the fundamentals of development using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So today I just want to finish up on HTML and CSS. Then tomorrow we shall pick up on JavaScript. I know tomorrow we should not have a class, by the way.
It's okay.
But we can basically have a makeup. Because I wanted to finish this in 1 week. I never wanted to go beyond. Next week is another thing altogether.
Okay, so.
Jesse, let me put this on charging.
Okay.
And in our head again,
yes,
we shall have 2 sections.
Okay.
In our head again, we shall have 2 sections. We shall have a section for basic info, like the name, your title, and your email address or contact. Then this other one will have navigational links. In the navigation links, we will have about myself, which when you click should lead you to this section. Then work experience should lead you to this section, and so on. Education, skills, and the footer. So it's called navigational link. So I'm going to design this, and with this information, you will be able to follow along with W3 School and do this as your project, as part of your end course project, developing a portfolio website. So let's get going. So now that I've known this, for you to subdivide a website, you always use what is called the div tag. Div tag allows you to subdivide a website based on how you want it. For example, how many subdivisions are we going to have? You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 core subdivisions. So that's what you do first. You just come to your website, initiate it. Then in the body, we write 5 subdivisions. So let me copy paste this. That's 6, that's too much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we give them a class or an ID attribute. So I'm going to call this a class of header. Then this one will be a class of about me, about myself. Then this one will be a class of work experience or work. Then this one will be a class of I prefer me hutumia class sana, but you can also use an ID. This one can be class of skills. Then lastly, this one can be class of food. So our main interest is in the class of Nini, the class of header, because that's what we want to design now. Then you can also create a new folder here and call it the styles folder. So this inside the style folder we shall have style.css, and we can link it. After creating it, we can link it using link, then relationship is equals to styles and style.css. So because it's a class, I can target the class of header, and this class of header is let's say a background color of blue. So for now, you will most probably not see anything at all in your website. So let's open it with live server. There is nothing you're going to see, because the divisions is actually not there until you start using it, like until you write a text in it. So let's write a text in it. This is a header section. So when I now go to my website, it is now there.
Okay.
So there's a way we are going to ensure this header fits into a website header. When you come to different websites, let's say safaricom.com, .co.ke, most websites have headers. So for Safaricom, you can see there is a very thin header which has all this personal data, whatever. And then after that, we also have navigational something. So a very thin one. So most websites have headers. Even a website like ibm.com, here it is. For IBM, is this one. Most websites contain headers. This one. This is what we call a header. So based on your need, you will always cite it. So in our portfolio, we are going to create some items in our header, like when you go to your blueprint, name, but it's recommended you draw the design of how you want it to look like. Name, title, and email address. But before that, in the header again, we have two items. We have this and this. This one was the basic information and the navigational site. So we can also create two divisions inside the header division. So you come here, and inside this, create two divisions again.
Okay.
Kindly note what is happening when I introduce HTML. You said something about DOM tree. So the header section has become a child of the body. Then it is now having its own child. So, and that is shown by indentation. This one shows that the header section is a child of the body. And then after that, this one is a child of the header section. And again, when you go look at this one, will be basic information. So we can call it a class of basic information. basic information. Again, and the other one was navigational site, class of site navigation. Up to that point, you are not yet done. So up to this point, we again go to our blueprint. We can see that inside this we have the name, the title, and the email address or the contact.
Address,
So
yeah.
we can write that also. Come back here, we have 3 of them. Give. Then class is equals to name. Class is equals to title. And here class is equals to contact. Again, the head has become the child of the body, the basic info, and is a siblings to
both
about
name, job,
me,
yeah.
work, skills, and footer, because they're in the same at the same level. Then the header has become the parent of the basic info. Then the basic info has become the parent to name, who is the siblings to a sibling to job title and contact. When we come back to draw a DOM tree, we shall have something like this for the header. You have the header, then 2 siblings this way. Then this one also have some siblings. Okay. How do I know that I need to arrange the siblings to go sometimes horizontally, sometimes vertically? That's your skills as a software developer, as a designer. So that is according to you. It basically shows how you want your website to look like. Like in this case, we need these 2 to be joined to each other. So let's try and see how header looks like by giving it a height, which we will remove. Without now actually, for now, this header the height is 0. That's why you cannot see a background color.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to write an inline CSS here, which I'll delete later. So style height is equals to 100 pixels. So when I come here, there you go. It's now there. So in website development, we always use these colors to guide us on what to do, after which we shall remove them entirely.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, then having done that, I can now go ahead and do the same thing for basic information. So style is equals to background color. Should be green. So let's see. So for now there's nothing. Let's give a height so that that one is reflected. Height should be height of its parent, 100 pixels. So that one has overtaken everything. So let's do the same thing for its sibling, so that we can see. I'm just going to copy paste. Remember, we'll delete this.
Okay.
And this one is red. So let's see.
Okay.
So what do you realize? This one has been embedded below it, but
yes,
there are children to one parent.
Yes.
Now, no, this one was green. So, and they have overtaken the parent's color. The parent tulishapeana color kweli. Oh, tulishapeana kwa nini external. So what we can do, we need them to be arranged like our blueprint here. This and this. This is called display. And when you come to W3 schools, the CSS display, this one, There are three ways in which you can have the CSS layout using the display property. The display property is used to specify how an element is shown on the web page. So it can be shown, every HTML element has a default display value depending on what type of element it is. The default display for most elements is always block or inline. Like in this case, whatever you can see, this one is inline. This one here is inline. So when we want to change it to something that we need, we can change it into something that we need. You can just come here and read about the properties. Displays an element as inline, as a block, then contents makes the container disappear, making the child element children of the element. Then the flex, which I'm more interested in, displays an element as a block level flexible container. So there are so many other displays which you can use, of which I've never used. Display none shows you that you don't want to do anything, but who doesn't want to put the display? So there's so many examples there. So in our case, we want to use a display flex. So you come to the header. Remember, the person who's going to carry everything here is the header. So this header is the one that's going to carry the two. So you are actually specifying how elements should be displayed inside it, not how those elements should be displayed somewhere, but inside it. So it's the one that we're going to give the display. So in the header, we're going to say display flex. So when I save this, let's see if the changes have been effected. For now, we cannot see them. Okay, then we can specify what direction we want to use. So let me bring them up by writing something on this. This is a basic info fact section. These are called placeholders. We always delete them after they have done what they will help us with. And this one is a site navigation section. Yes, they are back. So as you can see, they are arranged here in a flexible direction toward this way, but they've left a very big space to the right. So I don't want that space. So to get rid of that space, we always use justify content, how to place them. We should put, let's say, something like a space between. So it's a property called justify content. So we write here justify content, space between. So when you come back to your website, the space between them has now been taken care of. Again, this space is too big. How then do I get rid of it? I increase their width, both of them. So the width is not for the parent, but for the children. So I go to the children themselves, and the child was basic info. So I'm just gonna copy this to the styles, width 600 pixels. The same thing for site navigation. Copy it and also with 600 pixels. So let's see how that one has turned out. So somehow better.
Yeah.
So our main interest was to design the first one, but because navigation will somehow be longer than the basic info, then I still need to get rid or to increase the width of navigation and reduce the width of basic info. So I'm going to remove 100 pixels from this and give it to its sibling.
Okay.
It is always trial and error until you get the desired shape that you want.
Okay.
So that's better according to me.
Yeah.
Not bad. So next I need to put in the stylings for my name and everything. So my name in this case will be under this, so I'll write it here, Joseph Ouma. Then my title is a data scientist. And lastly, my contact, I can use my email address. So this is it. So they've been arranged there. But I need to play around with the figures. I want to see the background of Joseph Ouma. So that it is arranged somehow well, like it looks like a CV or a resume.
Okay.
Okay, so in this case, I'm going to target the name. Now, items should be ranked according to how they follow each other. For example,
Okay.
these two were children to header, so they must be put under header. But when one gives birth, its children should be put under it. So the name is the child for basic info, so we should put it under basic info.
Question.
Yes.
So on the styles folder, what happens when you indent, from parent to children, so that siblings are on one line, then indented to the siblings and so forth? Does it have an affect the website?
Pardon. What happens
So,
when?
for instance, basic info is a child to header.
Here.
No, on the styles
Oh,
folder.
so I say.
Yes. So what happens when you indent, from basic info to styles
Nothing.
header there?
Nothing
Okay.
really. It
Yeah.
basically to do this basically shows how organized you are. So
Okay.
so
Okay.
that
Okay.
when something you remember these things that have outages, you are familiar with using a website and all of a sudden it goes down.
Yes.
So
Yes.
during the time of bringing it up, we
Yeah.
just need to find something that caused a hitch, a technical hitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you want to edit the codes, you
Yeah.
let me tell you, if you just throw them anyhow, these codes are not going to be just 14 lines that like you can see here. They're going to
Yes.
be thousands or millions of lines, or
Okay.
even even a hundred of millions. So
Okay.
for you to arrange them, when I realize that my header section is the one bringing problem to our website, I'll just come to the header section, and I'll find every information about the header aligned very well in one section. Lakini ukizithrow tu randomly, that will bring issues. It will
Okay.
just work, yes, but it will show how disorganized you are as a software developer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the name, this name, I needed it to be somehow bigger, so that is always controlled by what we call a font size.
Okay.
So let's say font size 40 pixels, and that's better.
Yeah.
Then we have my title. My title can assume 25 pixels. So my title was job title. Copy it. So also font size 25 pixels. That is based according to how personal I want it to be. So let me see. Not bad. Then what I wanted is coming up nicely. I just wanted to show you. Then my email address also 25 pixels. So contact. So contact also 25 pixels. Now our height has been overtaken by events. You see?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
we continue writing, it's going beyond the height of a website. That's where the height is disadvantageous. So we always tend not to use height when it comes to designing a website. We always try to avoid it. Like we always avoid it. We just don't want to use height because height is constant. But there is something that you can use. It's called padding. For padding,
Padding.
for padding, you will have an element here. The padding regulates the distance between what is written inside that element to its top border. Whether these are called borders or borders. This is a border, this is a border, and this is a border. So whatever is written inside an element, for example, when we can write high, then the distance between that element and high, this is what we call padding.
Okay.
So padding readjusts. If you add elements, lots of them, it readjusts automatically. You don't need to use height fixed. Height is always fixed. Then again, when we can add another element inside here, then to this, let's call this A and let's call this B. To element A, this is padding. To element A, this is padding. But to element B, this is now margin, according to CSS. Get that difference? When there are two elements like this, one is an inner one and one is an outer one. To element A, this is padding, because element A is the one outer. So distance inside it is padding. But any distance outside its border, it's margin. So elements A margin is here. Margin, 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 margin. Did you pick that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So when we come to this website, we want to do away with the height. So I'm going here. I said I will just do away with it after some time. Do away with that height and use padding instead. So let's check what has happened. So still it's trying to adjust. So let's use padding instead. So padding 10 pixels. Okay. Pixel is the fundamental unit of measurement in a website. It is used to measure small, very small distances, and websites are always very small distances. So as you can see, the pixel has tried to readjust accordingly, and therefore it's trying to accommodate everything. So let's try with 20 pixels or 15. Trying to grab everything. So I need to remove this. This is a basic information header because it was just a placeholder, and therefore this is now well taken care of. So I need to do away with this background color green, because for now it is doing nothing seriously. It was just to help us see. So background color green, and the height also, do away with them. So wonderful. Now I need to embed this data scientist to be just below my name, but it should leave an allowance with the contact. But before that, look at our header. I talked about a margin. Kuna margin imebaki hapo kadogo. I don't want it. How do I control it? I don't want that margin. So I use margin, then try to put 0 to see if it will do away with that. Again, when it comes to margin, there is a direction it can follow. So for an element, margin, this is a margin top. Then this is a margin to its right. This is a margin to its bottom. And this is a margin to its left. And so is padding. Padding to top if it is internal, that is. So when we start using a margin, we always, when you put a word without specifying what type of margin is that, CSS will try to take it in a clockwise direction, this way, from top. So tukisema tu margin 10 pixels, CSS will assume that you've said that all the margins should be 10 pixels, margin top right. Lakini ukipika mbili, margin 10, 20 pixels, CSS will say that you've just supplied for top right. There is no bottom left. So
Left.
if you don't want to put for right, but you want to specify for bottom, we always say 10, 0, no comma, 0, then 20. CSS will know that for right, you don't want to put any margin, but hizo zingine ni 10 and 20. So that's how you control margin. So in this case, in our website, this is the last thing you're doing because I have another class at 11. In our website, the margin at the top has some spaces. So is the margin to the left. So is the margin to the right. So we should do away with this margin. So what are we gonna do? We are going to use margin. We will come here to our header and supply the margin. So let's just try with 0. Let's see if that one has worked. It's not working. So it means that we can try to use negative to force issues. Negative will try to go beyond the tab here. So let's try and use negative 2 pixels. Let's see. Yes, this one has tried, but not yet fully.
Yeah.
So let's change it to somehow 5. Yes, this one is now trying to do away with everything, but still there's allowance 8. Calendar until we get it. Yeah, that one has worked.
Yeah.
And therefore,
this
is now okay. Our header is now okay. So we can remove the background color for header. Then you will put in your background color, the background color of your choice. Once you feel like it's time to add that background color. For now, it can remain that, but let me give it maybe hash gray color. Gray is not that shouty. Yeah, this is better. So you can change text to mini, but that one will be something for next time. So tomorrow we will finish up on this, then introduce JavaScript. Tisha, I'll leave you this as your assignment until it is done. You can watch online and add whatever you want is to be nice looking. You can add your images and so on and so forth. That's it for today, unless you have any question.
No, I don't have any question. Let me just try that, then I can touch base tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm going to send you this video.
Okay, thank you.